Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he is in fact just like his father? Original story. My 31 female husband 31 male, and I have 4 children. A son, 9 male, a daughter 8 female, and twins, 5 male. My husband and I were over the moon when we had our first 2 kids, and were just very excited. The twins were a huge surprise considering twins aren't common in either of our families, but we decided to keep them. However, my husband's attitude towards the twins has completely changed. I know it's tiring. We have other little children running around too, but it's not like we're overwhelmed. My mother, who is still very young and fit, lives with us, and she usually takes care of the kids when she can. We aren't short on money either, as both of us come from pretty wealthy families. However, I know that sometimes that isn't even enough when it comes to parenting, so I decided to leave it. However, instead of moping around or just being distant, he's become pretty mean with the twins. He's always finding something to shout at them for. I kid you not, he shouts at them for being identical as if they purposely planned it. Plus, he's the perfect dad with my older children. He only acts weird with the twins. I had enough yesterday when my youngest asked me why dad hates him and whether I want him to disappear too. There is absolutely no way a little kid would lie about something like this. I don't think he has the mental ability to make up things like that either. I was furious and confronted my husband, who was sound asleep in the bedroom. I asked him what his problem was and why he's being a nahal. He was confused, so I explained. He then accused my son of lying and saying nonsense. Obviously, I didn't believe him and told him that he was exactly like his father. He got pissed and left the house. I don't know where he went, and honestly, I don't give a crap. Side note. Husband's father was, in short, a piece of turd. Very absent and cheated on his wife a lot. My husband vowed to never be like him, and gets very heated at the mention of his dad. Anyways, my mother, who heard the whole thing go down, told me that I did the right thing by shouting at him, but I should have not mentioned his father. My sister, who I called later, said the same, and told me to make a post on here just to see. So, am I the a-hole for telling my husband that he is exactly like his turd of a father? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not an a-hole. He sounds like an a-hole. People who are mistreated often become one themselves. This isn't acceptable. Not an a-hole, but I actually think you're failing your kids. You can't allow him to keep treating your twins like that. It's a terrible environment for them to be raised in. Your husband needs to get into therapy and change his attitude, or you need to leave him. Poor little boys. He is scapegoating them while treating the elder 2 like golden children. It's classic abuser behavior, and OP needs to step up and stop allowing it to happen. Not a a-hole. I'm sorry. I encourage you to keep being advocates for your twins, and if he is saying things like that around them, maybe limit their one-on-one time with dad. Things like that is so damaging to kids. And they are not too young to understand, as you pointed out. They know they're being treated differently. Whatever you do, don't subject them to someone who isn't kind to them constantly. Good luck. Maybe limit their one-on-one time with dad. Yeah, OP, you are not a a-hole for being upset. But keeping your younger 2 in a home that is obviously emotionally damaging to them because the marriage is good for you, that's not being a good mother. As a parent, it's your job to put your kids first. And you clearly both have the money and support to do this without living with your husband. At a certain point, you have to realize that you can't just sacrifice the twins' well-being for everyone else in the family status quo. Now for the update. So first things first. I would like to thank all of you for your input. I read every single reply and have taken all your words into consideration. Secondly, I would like to clarify a few things. 1. When I said that my husband and I decided to keep the twins, I meant that we had to think long and hard about me giving birth to them. My first 2 pregnancies had a lot of complications, and according to the doctor, twins would be worse. Ultimately, we both decided that we would keep the kids and pray to God that I would be fine. It was tough. I almost passed, but I survived. 2. I had mentioned my husband's behavior before, and he always told me that I was overanalyzing him or overreacting. According to him, I was doing too much. I actually thought I was going crazy and felt like a witch for thinking my husband was mistreating the twins. However, my son's face showed me that I was right the whole time, and I should not have let it go on as much as I did. And I blew up on him. Yes, I said it to hurt him, But I also said it because I hoped that he would realize that he is turning into a jerk of a man, just like his father. Now on to the update. So, a few hours after I made the post, my husband messaged me saying that he was sorry for leaving the house abruptly and shouting, etc. I first asked him where he was, and he said that he was at his brother's house. I told him to get comfortable because there was no way he was coming back home. I then asked him if we could meet later, and he said sure. So the next morning I went over to his brother's house and we talked. And honestly, I'm numb. I'm going to keep this as short as possible, so I'll skip over the irrelevant stuff. So first, I apologized for comparing him to his father, not for shouting at him, but for the comparison, and he said it was fine. He apologized as well. Then I asked him why he was so mean to the twins. It took some time for him to tell me the truth, but he spilled. Like many of you suggested, he said that he felt like they weren't his children. Apparently the kids don't look or act like him and he got bad vibes from them. I rolled my eyes at the bad vibes part, but I assured him that I did not cheat on him, and that just because they don't look like him, they look a lot like me, doesn't mean they aren't his children. He said that he did trust me, but something about the twins was off. I told him that he wasn't making any sense and that he needed to see a therapist, ASAP. He kind of looked defeated before saying that he would. I forced him to make an appointment then and there in front of me. I then told him that he wasn't coming near any of the kids until he sorted out his issues, because the children are going to be heavily affected by him. I mentioned some of the things you guys said about how much words hurt and how kids remember. At this point, I had some hope that he would get better, that there was a slight chance of us becoming a family again. But then I asked him one more question. Did he ever physically hurt our twins? Somebody mentioned this in the replies of my original post and it had been killing me. I needed to know. He said yes, but only a few times when they were being difficult. I was shocked. He hit our children and I was clueless. He said that it wasn't hard and that the twins were throwing things and wouldn't calm down, so he hit them. He didn't mean to and lost control. I didn't want to hear anymore and immediately left before I did something. I went home, and when my mom asked how it went, I cried. I sobbed in her arms. I don't know where I went wrong and why everything was going downhill. You hear these things happen in news or in movies, but you never realize that it could be happening to you or your babies. I then made sure my kids were okay. I asked my twins first if Dad ever hurt them. They said yes, and one of them even said that he was scary. I asked my eldest two if Dad ever hurt them, and they said no. I asked the two if they ever saw Dad hit the twins, and my son didn't know, but my daughter did. She even said that they deserved it. That ruined me even more. I mentioned that my daughter had been starting to treat the twins like her father, but I managed to stop it. Obviously, she isn't mean to their face anymore, but it's obvious she thinks low of them. So, taking advantage of the money I am privileged enough to have, I have decided to put all of them in therapy with the best people I could find. When they asked where their dad was, I told them that he was busy with work and wouldn't be home for a bit. I honestly don't know if that was the right call, but I don't want a man who hits kids in my house or near my children. I'm just numb. I've cried so much that I cannot cry anymore. I can't be angry because I let this happen for so long. I can't be guilty because I need to stay strong for my children. I still don't know what to do. Like I've said a billion times, I'm so numb. It's like all the joy has been sucked out at me. Thankfully, my sister moved in, and both her and my mother have been supporting me a lot. I felt like letting it all out, and talking about it on this post would help me feel better. But I still keep getting flashes of anger, sadness, guilt, etc., and I don't know. I know I'm making this about me, but I don't know how to handle all this information that's been dumped on me in one day. But I'm going to be strong for my children. I'm going to get the best lawyer I can find, and I'm going to do my best to protect my kids. Whether I let my husband into my life or the lives of my kids is still a huge question mark for me, as my eldest two have mentioned that they miss him. Now we'll see how things go, but I don't know if I can ever trust him again. He has messaged me a few times since our conversation saying sorry, and that he really didn't hate our twins. But I don't know. And yeah, once again, thank you random strangers on the internet for the replies and private messages. I don't know if this update was satisfying, and I highly doubt that I'll update again as I'm going to put all my time into helping my kids. But I hope you all have an amazing day. Thank you guys. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I don't feel like I have sisters when she asked why I didn't invite my sisters to my birthday? I, 23 female, have two older half-sisters, 26 female, 27 female. My mom was married to their dad, divorced just after 26 female was born, and met my dad soon after, and they had me. My mom shared custody of my sisters, and my parents are still together. Growing up, they were always so close with each other. They would hang out, do fun stuff together, and it didn't include me unless my mom insisted on it. And sometimes it wasn't a fight. Just a thing of, oh, you're going to the park? Well, little sister can come. Outside of stuff like that, I was always left out. And when we all did stuff as a family, I felt very much like an only child. I was never included in the jokes. They'd want to sit with each other. They would sometimes not even talk to me, which wasn't always a bad thing, lol. Especially when we were teenagers. As adults, nothing much has changed. I have often asked them if they wanted to do things, and they are either too busy or they forget to show up and just never bother following up when they do. And they have done plenty of stuff without me. My oldest sister got married and had our middle sister in her wedding as her bridesmaid and didn't include me in any of it. I was just a regular guest, which again is fine, but it just sets the relationship. I didn't actually get to talk to either of my sisters the whole wedding. Not sure if it was deliberate, but yeah. A few years ago, they got matching sister tattoos, and the tattoos in question reference having only one sister. For me, that was when I kind of stopped caring, or started working on not caring. I had never known how to feel about it before, but I realized what it was. For years, they treated me not as a sister, but as my parents' child. Their mom's child, but not their sister. And I feel like I have gotten to the point where I'm okay with that, so long as I can treat them the same. So my 23rd birthday, I had some people over for snacks and stuff. Friends and family, but I didn't invite my sisters. I haven't been invited to their birthdays in years either. My mom questioned me on it, and I said I hadn't thought of it. She told me that wasn't possible. She told me she thought we had all moved past that stuff that were sisters. I told her it doesn't feel like I have any. It never did. They have each other and I'm on the outside. Her kid, but not their sister, and that it was fine. And after all these years, I would rather just move on. She told me it was horrible to say it feels like I have no sisters, and I told her that technically we are, but we do not have a close sibling relationship and I have never felt like their sister. My mom is mad at me for what I said to her. She's also mad at them for treating me how they did for so long. She went off on how she had talked to them so many times about this. But she's so pissed at me for saying what I did. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Simply tell her, your mother, to read their sister tattoos. That says it all, and it is recent. Yes, exactly. You just told the truth. This is a situation they, and your mother included to some extent, created. When it started, they were children, and she could have changed their perspective. It's too late now. Not at a-hole. Your half-sisters have shown that they don't acknowledge you as their sister, so you have a right to feel that way. Your mom is an a-hole for making it seem like that's your fault you don't feel that way. They have been a-holes to you, so I'm glad that you have grown to not care about the exclusion they have done to you. I'm sorry your mother tried to make your birthday about them. Of course not. Speaking your truth isn't wrong. And your mom is aware of the issues, and probably feels guilty about not being able to make it different, but she still shouldn't shut you down for saying it. Your sisters seem to have had plenty of chances to make a relationship with you. I imagine it's possible things will change in the future, but I think your goal of getting okay with how things are is probably the best thing you can do about it for yourself right now. Pretending it's not how things are won't help anything. Not a a-hole. Neither is your mom, but she does need to give you space to feel how you feel about it. I can't imagine what could change in the future with how clear they've been with how they feel about me. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my in-laws gold diggers for insisting to know how much my new job pays? I'm male 28, Canadian, and my fiancé female 26 and her family are from Latin America. My mother and father-in-law found out about my new job and wanted to have a private conversation with me without my fiancé, so they invited me to their house. They invited me into their guest room. My father-in-law asked me to leave my phone and keys at the dining table. They started talking about my new job. They had no idea how much I get paid and asked me to tell them about my salary, but I politely declined to tell them. They asked why. I just bluntly told them it was none of their business. Father-in-law chimed in, saying, "You're marrying my daughter. Damn right it's my business," and kept on about making his daughter's future secured. I assured him that his daughter is in good hands, and besides, money isn't everything, and love and respect are what's important. Mother-in-law disagreed and said that money is an important factor, then gave examples of issues I'll have in my marriage if I'm not capable of providing for my family. I refused to tell them again, assured them that I'm doing well financially, so no worries. Mother-in-law refused to drop it. Claimed I was being disrespectful by treating them like they were some strangers asking about how much I get paid, and demanded I give her a number. I got so annoyed and wanted to excuse myself to the bathroom, but father-in-law got up and locked the door. I asked what the hell he was doing. He told me to calm down and that he'll unlock the door when this conversation is over. I blew up and told them that their behavior is unacceptable, and what I earn is none of their goddamn business. Then told them that only gold diggers behave like this, and right then, they were giving me huge red flags. Mother-in-law gasped loudly, and father-in-law immediately unlocked the door and asked me to leave his house. I grabbed my phone and my keys and walked out. Mother-in-law already called my fiancé and was crying, saying I disrespected them in their house and called them gold diggers for just asking how I was doing with my new job. My fiancé was upset, but I explained what her mom and dad did. She said I not only hurt her parents, but hurt her as well by calling them gold diggers, and I owe them an apology, but I refused to. I asked if she thought what her parents did was okay, but she reminded me that she's with me because she loves me whether I'm rich or poor, and it doesn't matter what others think. My fiancé never cared about money nor acted materialistic. She works as a babysitter and happy with it. She said that I needed to apologize for calling them gold diggers and hurting their feelings for being worried about us. Although I assured them I'm doing well financially, and that should have been the end of it. But I guess I escalated. They escalated, and now I'm refusing to apologize. My relationship with them might suffer if I don't. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but deeply consider getting a prenup and reevaluating your relationship. Your in-laws are gold diggers, and your fiancé's reaction to it is deeply disturbing. She has her parents' back before yours. Just because your fiancé may not be exhibiting materialistic behaviors now, doesn't mean she won't ever, given what you just witnessed with her parents. The apple clearly doesn't fall far from the tree. Not the a-hole. Legally, by locking the door and refusing to let you leave, it could be considered kidnapping. 100% on the prenup. Not the a-hole. Locking you in was so past the line of, okay, I would reconsider marrying into this crazy family. They locked you in a room with them without your phone or keys. Definitely not the a-hole. If you're going to try to make it work with her, set boundaries now. Do not apologize for acting like anyone would in that situation. They weren't just rude, they were threatening. And the thing is, I'm sure your girlfriend knows how they are.
Bridezilla ruins her own wedding. Demands bridal party pay her cancelled wedding. Plus updates. So, my friend Dana, female 29, was supposed to be getting married this past Sunday, January 14th. The wedding got cancelled, and things had gotten very crazy. Dana was getting married to Josh, male 32. She was still in college with me, and asked a few friends from college, myself included, to be her bridal party. Now, from the start, this wedding has been a disaster. I'm going to just point out a few of the crazy stuff we dealt with. 1. She refused to invite my best friend, who she's supposedly good friends with, because she thinks we're lesbian lovers. We're not. 2. She had us go to the dress fitting, and then demanded each of us pay $2,000 each for our dresses. Apparently, she had a specific style she wanted. I can afford it, but I won't buy a 2K dress for one event. Some of the girls at the bridal party don't have that flexibility with money. 3. Apparently, Josh couldn't invite any single females that were not blood relatives of him. So if he had any female friends, they were axed. 4. One of the girls at the bridal party doesn't drink because of her religion. Dana accused her of being pregnant in front of her parents and almost got her kicked out of her house. She was not pregnant, and she dropped from the bridal party. She was a class act though, and never bad-talked Dana. Just said she couldn't make it. We found out about it pretty much on the day of the wedding. 5. She tried to make us cancel our holidays with our families to instead go with her to a destination bachelorette party. I work full-time even during holidays, so I told her that was not happening. More of the bridesmaids said similar things and she dropped it. That's just 5 things of countless drama this wedding was having before the day. Now, the meat of the story comes on the wedding day. The day started horrible. Dana was having a meltdown because apparently the flower girl had to cancel because she has chickenpox. She was threatening to sue the mother unless she brought the sick 3-year-old to the wedding. Josh apparently was able to calm her down from this starter outburst, and we began preparations. The whole day she had constant outbursts. She made people cry, like wedding staff and bridesmaids. The maid of honor deserves a medal for the amount of diplomacy and BS control she had to do. I, for the most part, took the easy route and decided to work outside a bridal suite, like checking flowers, making sure food was okay. Basically any excuse not to be around bride. Eventually, I had my makeup and hair done. Then the bride asked for a little bit of time alone to decompress from the stress. We didn't even fight it. You could not see a group of women run faster away. Wedding was starting in 30 minutes, so we figured she would be fine alone for that little. I spent those 30 minutes just sitting in the chapel with my phone. It had to be about 5 minutes before the start of the wedding when maid of honor came over to tell me the wedding was canceled. I asked her what happened, and she said Dana was having a quickie with Josh's uncle in the room. Josh caught them. I just stared at the maid of honor with my mouth pretty much about to reach the floor. She told me to run, and that she was trying to get as many people out before things exploded. So I quickly got my purse, gathered the 2 bridesmaids that were carpooling with me, and we left like the devil was after us. I checked with the other bridesmaid and all had escaped. That night, I called the maid of honor to check what happened and the tea was bad. Apparently, and rightfully, Josh called off the wedding, called her a few names, told off his uncle, and has since left with his mates to, I hope, have the biggest single-man party ever. I feel so bad for him. He's an absolute gem of a man. He apparently also told Dana and her parents that she will be paying the cancellation fees. And according to maid of honor, Dana's father told her in front of everyone that she was paying it on her own for being a slut. I thought that was the end of it. I made a choice to separate myself from this mess. Until I got a call from Dana not even an hour ago, demanding $5,000 to help pay her cancellation fees. According to Dana, it was our duty as the bridal party to pay her cancellation fees. I obviously told her no, and that she might as well lose my number. I am never speaking to this woman again. This has been pretty much the reaction of all bridesmaids in the maid of honor. By the way, maid of honor, Josh's older sister. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Hold up, back up. This is a whole high tea serving right here. I have heard sex is good to unstress, but this is a whole other level. Also, props for Josh's sister. Woman is worth her weight in gold. I mean, the sad part? She had her makeup and hair done, and we left dressed and ready. So yeah, she was wearing her wedding dress for this. Damn, she really didn't think her husband would notice that some other dude had just nutted in her? Lol, what a sloppy bride. Well, that was a ride. You do right in telling her to leave you alone. Actions have consequences. Oh, it's been the longest 3 months of my life, not gonna lie. To be frank, even if the wedding went through, I was planning to cut contact. She was a nightmare. It seems unfair, but I expect once her parents have calmed down that they'll likely help her pay the fees, maybe? Not that she deserves the help. I've just seen that happen once the storm is calmer. Her mom maybe. Her dad won't. I've known them for years. Dad is very much old school and I've never seen him cave. Ooh boy, way to start the year with a bang, if you'll pardon the pun. What an absolute crap show. Poor Josh. His sister deserves a medal for getting you all out though. Highly recommend inviting her and the other bridesmaids for drinks in a few weeks. If you happen to find out any more fallout from the disaster, then that's just a bonus. Or dinner, so the non-drinking should have been bridesmaid doesn't feel left out. We're having a barbecue next Sunday actually. Dana of course not included. Maid of honor is new to the group, but we absolutely want to keep in touch with her. That's great, and maybe along the way you gals can lead Josh in the direction of a worthy girl. Not gonna lie, pretty sure half the bridal party would offer themselves as tribute. He's a good-looking guy. I don't know him that well, but we've had drinks a few times. He'll find a girl when he's ready in his nap. Small update 6 days later. Hey guys, I know a lot of people want to know what happened. After talking to Josh yesterday, he asked me to only say that he's okay, figuring things out and moving on. We're going to stay friends with him and his sister. Dana was told that no one in the group wants to interact with her, and since then, it's been mostly radio silence. I can't share more about Josh's future plans as he asked me not to. He did have a good laugh at some of the comments I showed him and appreciates the support. The one detail I did get corrected on for those curious was about his uncle. He's the younger brother of Josh's mother, and he's 55 years old. I thought he was married into the family, but I got that detail wrong. I also found out the most disgusting detail is that Uncle knew Dana since she was a teenager. Dana and Josh are high school sweethearts. So yeah, I kind of feel gross knowing that. Other than that, I got a major haul of cake. So at least I got something good out of this mess. Second update 2.5 months later. Going to start by saying he's doing much better. He's moved out to a new place away from Dana and has some of his mates as roommates. He also cut contact with his uncle, as did most of his family. He's put a pause on dating for some time, considering Dana was his first and only girlfriend for years. So he needs time to heal. Dana has now become persona non grata with my friends. She even tried to move in with one of them without telling her, by appearing at 10 p.m. at night and saying, "You can't send me away this late at night." Didn't work. Don't know where she's living now, but I can say for sure she's absolutely without any doubt very much screwed. She has 4 lawsuits. One from Josh for obvious reasons, one from his sister for the dresses she bought, one from the bridesmaid she accused of being pregnant, and one from Josh's uncle since apparently Dana used his credit card. She apparently moved in with him after the wedding failed. So yeah, she threw away her life, and she's very much without support. I saw Dana's parents some days ago, and they haven't had any contact with her since the wedding. They're actually moving with their other daughter, 22, to another state. As for Josh's sister, we've been hanging out for a while. She's actually become super tight with my friends and I. We're even planning a trip sometime next year with her and her 7-year-old to Disney. And yes, we've all agreed to divide a babysitting. We offered, she didn't press us to do so. Dana is a bridezilla who didn't just ruin her own wedding, she nuked all her relationships and her life. We love to see it. Slow clap. I would pay money that there's a bunch of people who are happy to see her fall from grace. I have a couple of people in my life who will end up in the same spot. Unfortunately, I won't be close enough to witness, but I'm hoping it is just as swift and certain. Can people just stop being bridezillas for once? 'Cause Jesus, Dana really nuked everything. The closest I saw to a full-on bridezilla wasn't full-on crazy, just way into her own thing. She was tiki-talking maniac and thinking everyone wanted to do 10 events for her wedding and spent a crap load of money. Her parents were upper middle class, and she was the only daughter and only grandchild, and was getting a lot of family help and blowing thousands. It was more time commitment crazy than banging uncles in her wedding dress crazy. She picked pricey but not unholy expensive dresses. I think I was told $3,500-ish. Like a lot of money, but give people a year's notice and they can afford it. She was exhausting and demanding, and wanted a lot of time commitment, but not expecting everyone to spend $2,000 on a dress crazy. She was so into her own everything for my Insta followers that she forgot nobody actually cared that much. She wanted likes and views. She needed likes and views. She was at the limit you can get to before an intervention is staged. She was exhausting, and I was at an arm's length from it all. Anything beyond that, it'd be a nope for me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my sister's wedding after she invited my ex instead of me? So here's the tea. My sister Emily is getting married soon. We've been close our whole lives until my recent breakup with my ex Chris. Chris and I were together for 5 years and it was serious. We split up 3 months ago because Chris decided to pursue a career opportunity overseas and I wasn't willing to move. Now, Emily and Chris have always gotten along, but I never imagined she'd take his side over mine. Yesterday, I got the shock of my life. Emily calls me up and casually mentions that she has invited Chris to the wedding as a groomsman. Worse still, she tells me that because of the limited guest list, I am not invited anymore. Her reasoning? She thinks my presence alongside Chris would create drama and ruin her day. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I was supposed to pay for half of Emily's wedding. It was my gift to her, as we come from a modest background and she's always dreamt of a big wedding. Feeling betrayed and hurt, I told her that if she thinks that inviting me to accommodate my ex is okay, then she should also be fine without my financial support. Emily blew up at me, calling me petty and selfish. She said I was ruining her special day and manipulating her emotionally. Now, family members are divided, with some saying I'm justified and others saying I'm being too harsh and letting my breakup affect my sister's happiness. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, don't bite the hand that feeds, etc., etc. Putting the ex aside, why the heck would you pay for a wedding you're uninvited from? Did the people on the sister's side not hear that? Geez, OP, you're so mean. How could you not foot half the bill? Yeah, you can't come, but family. I agree. She should tell her sister if she's swapping her for Chris should pay. Problem solved. His new overseas gig should pay well, no? This. I'm sure your sister's best new buddy will be happy to cover half of the costs for the wedding, since he's such an important part of her life. In fact, who are you, OP, to stand in the way of his chance to step up and really make her day oh so special with his very own checkbook? Seriously, the absolute nerve of some people never ceases to amaze me. If your ex was any kind of a decent person, he would have refused the offer to be a groomsman once he learned that your selfish and entitled sister decided his participation meant you weren't allowed to attend her wedding. The fact that people in your family are defending her behavior and still expect you to fork over thousands of dollars for a wedding you aren't allowed to attend is equally mind-blowing. Your sister chose your ex over you, and she should live with the consequences of her cruel decision. Don't give her a single penny, not even if she changes her mind and oh so magnanimously deigns to allow you to come after all. She showed you how she really feels about you and who she really is inside. And when people show you who they are, believe them. You're honestly better off without such toxic people in your life. I suggest you utilize the handy-dandy block feature as often as you need to in order to cut the BS out of your life. Take some of that money you are saving and take yourself on an epic vacation. Be sure to take lots and lots of happy vacation photos and tag them all "wish you were here." Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that maybe she shouldn't get with married men next time? My brother, male 40, and his ex-wife, female 40, got divorced out of the blue. According to his ex-wife, she was always clear that she didn't want kids. I don't know the whole truth because my brother honestly avoids this question. Anyway, we were all still shocked when they got divorced because these two loved each other and were inseparable. Very soon after, my brother introduced his girlfriend to us, his very pregnant girlfriend. Math ain't mathing. Mom confronted my brother, but he said it just happened, so he contacted the ex-wife. And after some prodding, she confessed that he has been saying that he wanted children and was having anxiety because they didn't have much time left. This was 3 to 3.5 years ago. He cheated on her. She found out about it and asked for divorce. Anyway, one day after divorce was finalized, he got married to his affair partner, female 29. Now they have 2 children. My brother had changed a lot and he wasn't himself anymore. Always brooding and looking miserable. Of course, with 2 children, you have other priorities, but he became very asocial and didn't do anything outside of work. According to his new wife, he wasn't like this when she first met him. He was happy and laid back. Now they fought a lot. Or mostly she would cry and yell at him and try to get a reaction out of him, but he wouldn't give her anything back. Then one day, he moved out and filed for divorce and shared custody. This was 2 months ago when he told us that he was getting a divorce. Now he spends his weeks without the children, with his ex-wife at her apartment. I think they have reconciled, or at least they are hooking up. I don't have much contact with him anymore because I am disgusted, but he was his old self back. Happy and open and full of life. His current wife, pending divorce, sometimes spends time at my mother's with the children. And it is great and all, but she would not stop talking about the ex-wife. This morning I was there, and as usual, she started talking about her driving by the ex-wife and seeing my brother's car. She was angry, and I get that, but I was starting to feel sick. I mean, my brother is a total C-word. But honestly, for me, she, his current wife, is close second on a C-word scale. I was thinking this to myself absently until I was brought back to the conversation when she was yelling that she felt used to produce children so his ex didn't have to. I got agitated because, while I don't understand why his ex is seeing him again, she did not use his current wife. So I very sternly and loudly said, "Well, maybe next time don't sleep with married men." She was shocked, then started yelling at me, and I told her that she cannot possibly not have seen that he always loved his ex-wife, and to stop lying to herself. She started crying. When she left, my mom started crying too. Then I started crying because I think I'm the a-hole too. But the problem is, none of what I said was the truth of what happened. I called my brother to yell at him and told him that he should have thought about his children instead of breaking their home. He hung up. Not a-hole. A castle built on another woman's tears won't hold. She was told some home truths. She had an affair with a married man and then married him a day after the divorce was finalized. All I care about now is my nibblings, and I'm afraid both losers will use them in this horror show. Yeah, she insisted to marry him a day after the divorce and made a big deal out of it, sharing memes about shackles breaking on her Insta stories. The C word. I just can't get past what an a-hole your brother is. If he didn't have my niece and nephew, I would have never wanted anything to do with him ever again. But I want the children to have family and support because they're gonna need it. Damn, girl. I find this extremely entertaining for me, but not you. I'm sorry. The real victims here are the children. I hope they go into therapy. The adults can go and get screwed. They're too young yet. They will probably need therapy the rest of their lives with these parents. Update. Am I the a-hole for tricking my ex into admitting to her affair? Original post. Pretty much the title. I felt like something was off, so I went through her phone and found messages between her and a male friend that seemed suspect. Discussing meeting up when she'd never mentioned it to me, flirting, talking in coded language about sex, etc. There was nothing overt, but still pretty sketchy. I figured she'd just lie and bury things deeper if I confronted her, and she was actually cheating. So I set up a fake Instagram account and sent her a message saying I knew she was cheating with her friend, had her receipts, and was going to contact her partner in 3 days whether or not she confessed. The next day, she sat me down and admitted to cheating, but wouldn't tell me who it was or how long it had been going on. She was sorry. She loved me and wanted to make things work. It meant nothing, blah blah blah. I told her that I already knew and that it was me who had sent her the message. My ex lost it, and I had to leave the apartment and go stay with a friend to get away from her. She was gone, along with most of her clothes when I came back the next day. She'd completely trashed the place while I was gone. This all happened a few weeks ago, and it has been pretty tough ever since. It sucked having to find a new place to live and separating our stuff while dealing with feeling like crap. To make it worse, I'd met the guy several times, shaken his hand, bought him a drink, thought he was harmless, etc. Mostly I feel like an idiot for having trusted her. I've never cheated on anyone, and I assumed my ex was cut out of the same cloth. My ex is adamant that I am an a-hole for what I did to her, but I don't really feel like I owe her anything. I don't know, am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I don't know about being an a-hole, but you're an idiot for still staying in touch with your ex and giving her opinion of you any consideration. I know idiot is harsh, and I don't actually mean it in a nasty way, but more for hyperbole to drive home the point. We'd been together for 4 years and had joint bank accounts, a cat, a car, furniture, etc. It's not easy to untangle all of that unless you're willing to talk. Is the kitty okay? My furry little dude is safe and sound with me. My ex is adamant that I am an a-hole for what I did to her, but I don't really feel like I owe her anything. For what you did to her? Wow, she's desperately trying to find a defensive position when in reality she's victim blaming. I applaud you for what you did, which was to catch her cheating and call her out. Guess the other dude can continue making his deposits because she's morally bankrupt. You should send him a celebratory bottle of wine as a gift for getting her out of your life. Does the other guy know she's a cheater? If not, there's a future r/petty revenge story here. Not a-hole. Yeah, he knew about me. We'd met on several occasions and had been introduced to me as a friend. He's just as gross and morally bankrupt as her. They deserve each other. I don't really feel like I need or want any revenge. I just want her out of my life. Not the a-hole. This is just another example of the twisted logic that horrible people often use. She is angry because she wanted to dictate when and if the relationship came to an end. She also felt that it was her right to hide her transgressions. You took away her fundamental right of lying to her partner. I agree. It's wild how she thinks she gets to control the narrative while betraying your trust. She wanted to keep her secret safe and expected you to just accept her lies. You exposed the truth, and that's not your fault. She is mad because she got caught, not because you did anything wrong, OB. Not the a-hole. Now for the first update. So I think my original post must have been shared on Facebook or something because my phone has been blowing up. It's mostly mutual friends and acquaintances asking if I posted it. I told a few people about how I'd caught her cheating, and I guess it wasn't hard to put two and two together. My ex also tried to call me about 100 times. I know she knows my throwaway username because she sent me a screenshot of the post along with a long abusive message threatening all sorts of things. I blocked her everywhere after that. I want to clear a few things up. Going through her phone was wrong. I get that. To be honest, it's the first time I've ever done anything like that in a relationship, and it was only because there were so many things that gave me bad vibes. Example, late nights out with vague explanations, being caught in various lies, sleeping with her phone under her pillow or leaving it face down on a charger, etc. I left the apartment because my ex has a history of violent histrionics when she doesn't get her way. I didn't want to put myself in a compromising situation where she could either hurt me or make up stories about me hurting her. I had a bug-out bag packed and ready to go before I hit send on a message just in case. She didn't do any real damage to the apartment, just threw my stuff around while having a tantrum. It took a few hours to clear up, and nothing valuable was damaged, so I figured it was easier to just let it slide. I had to stay in contact with her while we divided up our joint finances. Furniture and various other stuff accumulated over a 4-year relationship. As of yesterday, that's all done, which is why I waited several weeks to make the initial post. She's now blocked everywhere. Yes, I took the cat with me. We've both been crashing at my friend's place while I look for a new apartment. He's doing great. He was always my pet anyway. My ex tolerated him at best. I told my ex that I was the one who sent the message because I wanted her to know. I suppose I could have played that hand differently, but I wanted the satisfaction of seeing the look on her face when she found out. It didn't feel that great in hindsight. I'd probably go back and do that differently if I could. I wasn't planning on airing her dirty laundry in social media. Does Reddit count? Because I wanted to be above that sort of juvenile BS. But it seems like the horse has bolted on that now. People know. I don't think there'll be much else to update on after this. I don't intend to ever speak to her again. I doubt her ugly little man has the backbone to come after me. Jane, I know you're reading this. I hope you also read all the comments to the first post. They were savage. You're disgusting. And I am so glad I was able to see your true colors before I wasted any more of my life on you. Good luck with the pathetic goblin you chose over me. I don't know if I should feel more sorry for him or for you. In any case, people of your quality deserve to be together. Oh, and a-hole, she's all yours now, buddy. Good luck with that. Good for you. Continue to move forward and don't let anyone make you doubt yourself for a second that fooling that violent cheater into showing her true face was wrong. Agreed, you did the right thing. It's good that she showed her true colors. Keep moving forward and don't let her negativity bring you down. Going through her phone was wrong. I get that. It's not when you are given a reason. When you can share a toilet seat, you can look at each other's phones. Even more when you share a bed. Even more when she shares a bed with someone else. Now for the second update. Where to begin? Some things have happened since my last update. Yesterday, while I was out, my ex-girlfriend Jane showed up at my buddy's place with a box of my stuff and asked to see me. He said she looked awful. He also said she had a fat lip. I have to admit that I almost caved and called her to see if she was okay. I'm glad I didn't. My ex's sister Hannah texted and asked if we could talk. We always got along, and I have no issues with Jane's family, so I called her after I got home. We talked for about an hour. She wanted to apologize for her sister's behavior, but she also told me about some of the things that have been happening over the last few weeks. Jane has been staying with her sister since we split, and A-hole, the guy she was cheating with, has been coming around regularly. They got into a huge fight yesterday, and Jane lost it at A-hole. Her sister had to pull her off him, and A-hole's elbow connected with my ex's face while he was trying to get away from her. Turns out he's not single, and his girlfriend found out about Jane. It also turns out that my ex wasn't his only side piece. After Hannah kicked him out, my ex-girlfriend spilled her guts. She's been lying to her family about everything. She told them that I cheated and she broke up with me. Hannah said that my ex had confided in a couple of her friends about the way she got caught out. One of them saw the original AITA post and sent it to her since the details lined up almost exactly. Her friend must have shared the post with other people too, and from there it kind of snowballed. Hannah said that she's given my ex a week to find somewhere else to stay. So that's it, I guess. It seems like the truth has finally come to light, and you're better off staying away from the drama and focusing on moving forward. Now we can sit back, pop some popcorn, and watch the drama unfold. This is better than Netflix. Yes, sounds like Kopi's ex is Karma's new bestie. Don't you just love Karma? And keep strong and stay the course, and don't let her even try to ask you for a second chance. I'm pretty sure that's why she showed up at my friend's place. All of her options fell through, so she was hoping to manipulate me into fixing things for her. I'd rather pleasure myself with a cheese grater than get back together with her. If you and Jane share any mutual friends, do not go to any parties, in case it's a setup for you both to work it out. In case your ex knows people from your workplace or has access to your work email, give your boss the heads up. Congratulations, Opie, on being free of this clown show. Sorry for your loss, but at the end of the day, doesn't sound like much of a loss. I see this as an absolute win. Last story. My best friend is dating my abuser and wants me to reconcile with him, so I kicked her out of my home. I've tried to write this out for days now, but I keep getting too upset to concentrate, so this might be a bit jumpy. I don't have family in the sense many understand family to be. So, I've been pretty much a loner with one exception, my best friend Tammy. We met in middle school and just became joined at the hip. Things changed a bit in college. My parents forced me into a Christian out-of-state college. Tammy applied and got accepted to the other college in the town, so we both went out there and were roommates for 2 of the years, before I met my first ever boyfriend. I will call him Trent. I moved in with him the end of junior year, and I don't know when it started happening, but he went from charming and affectionate to controlling. I don't wish to upset anyone, so I will hit the pause button and warn you that below is some of the things he did for me to label him abusive. He would put me down and hint he could find someone better, or that if he cheats, it will be my fault since I wasn't this or that enough. It started to get physical senior year. At first, it was him pushing me out of the way if he was walking by, and I was in the path for whatever reason. Then he would slap me in arguments, calling me worthless, a waste of his time in young years, a broken toy no one will love. I didn't have any real self-esteem, so I stayed, thinking I was the problem, and when I called home about it, I was told that the problem was me. I started to make my exit plan the day after I graduated. He had proposed, and I hesitated, and he screamed at me to ask why. Then he swung and punched the wall right next to my head. I fell to the floor in fear, and he tried to comfort me and basically forced me into sex. When I woke up the next morning, the ring was on my finger, and he forced me again and later called it makeup sex, saying he forgave me for the way I treated him. That is the extremely short explanation, but there are so many stories of him forcing me into bed, hitting me, and threatening to end me and more. So I started to make a plan. I found a shelter in the city nearby. I started hiding things in the trunk of my car. I was in the service industry then, and so I would take more shifts whenever I could, and hide my cash tips in a box of tampons in my purse. And I finally was ready and left him. Left my phone, I had a new cheap one, and never went back. Tammy knew him and lived near us, but she didn't know about my plan. She messaged me on social media and I told her what happened. All of what happened. So she played dumb when he came around asking where I was, spinning the story that I was self-harming and he is calling the police to find me. He never found me. That was years ago. I am now 36 and Tammy's 2. Trent is 38. Tammy became a bit religious, but I told her as long as she is happy and safe, I don't care what she leans on in faith. She started to invite me out to her church 4 years ago, and I kept saying no, until I very firmly said if she brought it up again, I would just walk out or hang up. I'm not against anyone believing what they want, I just don't want or need to be sucked into it. I honestly do not mean any offense to anyone of any faith. I myself am just agnostic, and if that ever will change, I will decide on my own, but I doubt it will. She got a job 2 years ago overseas. I acted excited for her, and I was. But I was also deeply devastated. Without her, I had no one else. By this time, I wasn't in contact with much of my family, and I do have surface-level friends, but no one that's known me in a real sense. I worked it out with my counselor and just carried on. We stayed in touch online and video chatted a lot. She would show me London, and I would show her my transition to moving to Texas. We would chronicle our explorations of our new cities. And then one day, it started to slow down on her end right around the time she went to visit a friend in our old college town. She then asked if she flew to Texas sometime this summer. Could she stay with me a few days, and I excitedly agreed. So early this month, just a few weeks ago, she came here. She was off the whole first day, but I figured she was tired. Then the next day, we went out and got drunk. She started to cry, and I got us an Uber back to my place, and I asked her what was wrong. That's when she asked me not to hate her and told me everything. She's with Trent. She's been with him almost a year. I was too stunned to even say anything, and she went on and on about how it's not what I think and he has changed. She told me he found Jesus and turned his life around and deeply regrets the way he treated me. The more she talked, the more I just shut off. I didn't even have it in me to feel anger. I just stared at her, frozen as she talked, until she said, "Please just say something." So I did. I told her to get the heck out. She started to explain it all again, that she hated him forever, but they kept running into each other. He goes to church and he showed he has changed, bloody blah. I didn't interrupt her, but when she stopped talking again, I just repeated myself. She argued more, and I would just listen and repeat until she grabbed her stuff and left. It was silent between us for a week, until my dad texted me that Tammy called my parents crying and told me to get over myself. After all, it's not like I wanted to get back with him, right? And that's what I get for living with a man I wasn't married to. Then she texted the next week rehashing her argument and pretty much demanding I video chat with him to see for myself that he's changed and forgive him. She then blamed me that they can't take the next steps in their relationship because I don't have a forgiving heart and that I was malicious when I kicked her out. I've spent all of this week trying to figure out if I am insane to think this is a huge betrayal. A deal breaker. I mean, who even dates their friend's ex? For one. But this? I blocked her after she hinted that my version of things was exaggerated and malicious. But I don't have other friends to turn to about this. I don't think I am, but my and her family thinks I am the a-hole. At least for kicking her out in a strange city alone when she was just being honest with me. Am I? Now for the comments. Your so-called best friend is playing you for a fool, and you gotta call it like it is. A hot mess wrapped in betrayal. Dating your abuser? Girl, that's not just crossing a line, it's leaping over it with no look back. Kicking her out wasn't just right, it was necessary. You don't need that kind of disrespect and trauma reopening nonsense in your life. And her trying to preach about forgiveness? That's her trying to wash her own guilt away, not about helping you heal. Listen here, don't you dare feel bad for putting yourself first. You ain't no rehabilitation center for poorly raised folks pretending to be friends. Cut her off. Cut that nonsense off. And don't you look back. You're not the crazy one here. She and anyone who's siding with her are. You keep that head high and that door shut to toxic messes like that. Cut her off and cut your damn family off, Hopi. They're siding with your abuser instead of their own damn daughter. They're not a family to you. You are worse with them in your life. You will make new friends. These people are all toxic and are just going to keep hurting you. Rip off the band-aid. Get rid of all of them. Who here can see that the abuser went after the ex-friend to stay close to OP? It's so freaking obvious. And that their relationship can't move forward until he gets FaceTime with her? Yeah, that is manipulative AF.